All right, so the purpose of this video is to get you guys started with RStudio Cloud. This is a resource that you guys can use to get yourself signed up and situated with RStudio Cloud, and it will also help you prepare your homework assignments for submission. So this is a resource that you guys can continuously use and reference, especially if you have issues. You can reference this video for any sort of troubleshooting that you run into with RStudio Cloud. All right, so RStudio Cloud to sort of start off is the same thing as the RStudio application that we've been using in lab. It's just the cloud-based version. So similar to like Word documents and Excel files, there's also cloud-based versions of those documents or applications as well. So this means that you can access this site from any computer as long as you log in and have Wi-Fi connection. So what we're going to do is have you guys work with RStudio Cloud for your homework assignments so that you guys can easily work on your homework assignments at home. What it also means is that you can upload your completed activities to your RStudio Cloud from the lab computers at school so that you can access your activities from home in case you need a little bit of help or need to review something we did in lab. Okay, so when you sign on to RStudio Cloud, or when you follow the link, I should say, in Canvas, you'll be prompted to create an account, and this is free. So you guys will create an account with an email and a password and a username. The username is probably the hardest part. There's a lot of usernames that are already used out there, so just try to make it unique. And you guys will be led to a page that looks similar to this. The only thing you won't have is these folders already, unless you've used RStudio in the past before, or RStudio Cloud, excuse me. So what you'll want to do is you will first want to start a new project. So when you get to this page, you are going to click on the blue button, New Project, and then you're going to click on New RStudio Project. This is going to load a page that looks very similar to RStudio application that we use in lab, but it's just the cloud-based version. So we're going to create a new project, and we're going to title this project Bile 260. So these steps that I'm working through right now, you guys will only have to do once. From now on, after we create this project, you are always going to be working within this project. So I'll sort of touch back on that later on. So right now, here's our R. So you'll notice if I click these two boxes, this looks very similar to the R setup that we've seen in lab. What I want to do is I want to first title this project. So let's go ahead and title it something meaningful. So I'll do Bile 260. So that way, every time I log into RStudio Cloud, I can just click on the Bile 260 project, and that way all of my files will be within this project, and I'll always work within that project. So one of the differences with RStudio Cloud is that you have to actually upload your files. So this includes uploading the R Markdown files as well as the CSVs, the datasets. So unlike RStudio Cloud, or sorry, unlike RStudio in Lab where you can just click on the file to open it up, we actually have to upload them first because it is on a cloud system. So let's go ahead and run through that process real quick. So here is where your space is going to be. This is where you're going to upload your files. The first thing that we want to do is we want to create a new folder. So I'm going to go ahead and click on New Folder. And I'm going to title this folder. What we want you guys to do is title this folder with your full name. So I'm going to put my full name in here. And we want to work within the folder that has your name. So you're going to go ahead and then click on the folder with your name. So now we are within the folder that has our name on it. And this is where we are going to be uploading all of our files, and it's where we're going to be working out of. So here you can see the file pathway, cloud, project, and then my name. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is we want to upload our files. So let's say that I want to do my Intro to R assignment. That's your first assignment at home. So I'm going to find this little yellow arrow button, yellow up arrow button that says upload, and I'm going to click that button. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to choose a file, and I'm going to find the file that I want to load in. So you guys will probably download the assignment from Canvas, and then your files that you'll download, so the R Markdown and the associated CSV, will be found in your downloads folder. So you'll probably just want to go straight to your downloads folder, and you'll see both of the files there. So I'm going to go ahead and select my intro to R assignment. And I'm going to open that up. And then I'm going to click OK. And once I open that up, now the file pops up in my folder. I'm going to do that one more time because I need to upload an actual data set into this activity. So I need to upload the data set to my cloud. So I'm going to go ahead and click Upload again, choose File. I'm going to click the associated R file for the assignment, which should be Intro to R Worked Example. So now I have my R Markdown and my CSV. So now we want to open up our R Markdown, our assignment. So you're just going to click on the assignment itself. And it should show up R Markdown file that looks similar to what you've seen in lab. So it has instructions, it has the title, it has required packages, things like that. So I know that we probably, or if you're doing this after we've done our R lab, we would have already installed all the packages in our computer at school, but this is a different system, so we need to reinstall those packages onto our cloud. And again, you only need to do this once. So once you have these packages installed in your cloud, then you should be good to go. You never have to do it again. Now the cool thing is that it's sort of smart and it detects that there are packages here that we need to install before we can use them. So instead of actually typing out the code to install the packages, it actually just gives you a notification here that says R Markdown, EpiTools, and RStatics and others are required but are not installed. And it gives you the option to just click install. So you can go ahead and just click on the install button, and it will take a moment for us to sort of get through the installation of all of those packages. It will take a while. So you'll just want to wait patiently until this little stop sign goes away, and that means all of your packages have been installed. So RStudio Cloud, again, is what you will be using at home for your homework assignments, and it is a free program as long as you stay under 25 hours a month. So it will cut you off at the 25-hour mark. I think you guys will be okay for at least the semester. The first month might be a little bit cutting it close, and we can talk about solutions and what to do. But for the most part, you guys probably won't be going over the 25 hours a month to keep it as a free version. So we shouldn't run into too many issues there. All right, so just like we've seen in our lab activity, what we want to do is we first want to load in all of the toolboxes that we are using. So we have Tidyverse, RStatics, and EpiTools. Those are all of the packages that we'll use for the entire semester. What we're going to do is we're going to load in our file. So the file we want to load in is called Intro to R Worked Example. That we've already loaded in here. So the first thing you want to double check is when there's a file specified to load in, you want to check to see that it's first uploaded into your folder here. If it's not uploaded into your folder, you want to follow those same steps that we just went through to upload the file into the folder there. All right, so it looks like my stop sign went away and all my packages are installed. I'm going to go ahead and load the packages in. So I'm going to go ahead and press this little play button. Again, to sort of review the R structure. So we're working in a format called R Markdown. So it's kind of like a Word document that you can code in. So there are regions that you code in and there are regions that you type in, like normal notes or things like that. So the gray boxes that you see, we call these code chunks. So these are the areas that the code goes in. And the white spaces are like your Word document type of area. So these are areas that you can type in. So what I want to do is I want to run this line. So there's a couple ways you can run code. One of the ways, and probably the most popular way for us, is to click the little play button, which runs the entire code chunk. So when you actually load in these packages, you'll get a notification that looks like this. I know there's a lot of red text, but that's not a bad thing. That's just little messages. Another way to run lines is you can put your cursor on the line, the specific line that you'd like to run, and you can press this run button, run selected lines. Another option is to use keyboard shortcut. So for PCs, you can use Control Enter. For Macs, you can use Command Return. So those are all options for running options for running lines in R. Okay. Now, some of you might be curious or be interested in inserting code chunks into your R Markdown. So one way to do that is just like a Word document, you can sort of, edit this document to work the way you want it to work. So one thing we could do is add code chunks if we want to kind of stay organized and have one code chunk per code. So if, say, I wanted to add my code chunk in line 26, I could do that by clicking this little +C button up here, and then click the R chunk. That's what I want to add, and it adds a whole new chunk. One thing you also want to keep in mind is sometimes the formatting within the R Markdown document can get messed up. And that's mainly because sometimes we're not always careful when we delete things, and we tend to go overboard. So sometimes I might accidentally delete like one of those dots. And what that does is it messes up the format for the rest of that document, and it gets confused on, what's code and what's not code. So if something like that happens, then it's typically an easy fix where you spot the error, because I don't have those 3 dots there. So if I put that dot back, then it's going to fix the code chunk and everything's going to go back to the normal formatting. So those are things to keep an eye out for. Of course, if you run into an issue like that, it's best you can't figure it out. It's best just to, take a screenshot and send it to your instructor, and they should be able to spot it for you and help you out. Okay, so we want to load in our file. So we're going to load in the file intro to R worked example. So I'm going to go ahead and first run my file.choose line, which is going to prompt me to choose a file. Then the box that I see here is going to pop up in front of me, and I'm going to select my intro to R worked example. After you do that, your file pathway will show up below. So here we see our file pathway cloud, project, and my name. So that's what is here, if that makes sense. And then the file that I selected within that file pathway, that's that file there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that file pathway, including everything except for the one with the brackets. And I'm going to come down to my read.csv function. So the read.csv function reads in the CSV, and it loads it in, and it titles it, in this case, a null. So what you want to do is, once you copy your file pathway, you want to come down to the read.csv line, and you're going to place your cursor in between the parenthesis and the comma, and then you're going to paste the pathway between the parenthesis and the comma. So now what we're going to do is we are going to read in this file, and we're going to title it a null. We're also going to take a look at the first 6 lines of the data set. So we're going to use the head function and then specify the name of the data set, a null, so we can take a look at what the data set looks like. So here, this is not the entire data set. Keep in mind, it is only the first 6 rows. There are, I think, hundreds of rows. It's a rather large data set. But we can see all of our column names and the types of data that they are. So here we have a couple of factors, we have a couple of numeric variables, things like that. So assuming this is your homework assignment, what you would then do is, once you load your file in, you would want to go through all of the questions and follow the instructions. So here we have instructions that are written for you here, and you would use the associated code chunks to get the answers to those questions. And once you have those answers, you will then type in your answers where specified. So here we're going to type in the mean, standard deviation, and sample size of the males, and the mean, standard deviation, and sample size of the females. And then we have like a conceptual question. You're gonna input your answer right below where it says to provide your answer. And you're gonna repeat those steps for the next few questions. And that's how you're going to complete your homework assignment. All right, so once you have completed all of that, you have your answers in all the spots, you have code in the areas that require the code, then what you want to do is you want to then knit your file together. Before we get into knitting files, I wanted to go over one thing. So sometimes I've seen this happen before and I'm not sure why it happens, but sometimes when you upload files into your folder, it doesn't quite work. It'll say something about the connection is not correct or is not made. And the workaround for that is just to move back a folder and upload it into this area. And then what you can do, so for example, I'll go through an example of how to do that right now. So let's say that if I go into my folder with my name on it, and for some reason I can't upload a file here, I'm going to troubleshoot that by going back a folder to my project. I'm going to upload the file that I tried to upload previously. So I'm going to go ahead and upload. You guys don't need to do this now or follow this. So I'm going to upload this one. And then it uploads into that area, but you want to move it into your folder because you want to have it accessible in your folder. So then I can select that file, and then I could move that file to this folder. And then once I go into my folder again, it's there. So that's like a workaround. If you have problems uploading it into the folder, you can just go back a folder, upload it there, and then move it into the respective folder. Okay, so again, once you are finished with your homework assignments, you want to follow or scroll back up to the top and follow the instructions at the top. So the instructions say that you should fill out your name below. So this is where your name is going to go. You're going to run through the R Markdown and follow the instructions in the assignment, put the answers where specified. And then when you are finished with your assignment, just kind of clean up your code. So sometimes, especially through the beginning, you're going to be trying to mess with a little bit of code, remembering how to do things, and there's going to be some times where you create code that doesn't work, and so you just leave it behind and try something else. Now, once you have completed your homework assignment, if you have any straggling code sort of hanging out that doesn't work, what you want to do is make sure you delete it. Or if you have any errors where you tried so hard to get the code to work, but it just wasn't working, what you can do is you can also comment it out. So what that means is just to put a pound sign in front of the code. So for example, if I put a pound sign in front of the code, it won't run that code. It'll interpret it as like a comment. So that's why we say comment it out. So that's one workaround if you are trying to knit your file and there's errors in the file because it won't knit if there are errors. Then you can find where the error is. It'll usually tell you where the error is, and you can comment it out, and then we can sort of help you through it. So again, sort of double check your assignment for any errors or messy code or code that doesn't work, and deal with that. And then the last thing you want to do before you knit your file is you'll want to comment out the file.choose. You'll want to put your pound sign in front of the file.choose before you actually knit the file. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to knit and what that looks like. So I'm going to open up my completed product here. I'm just going to take a couple moments to get this situated. Just going to load in my file again real quick here because it's different on my key. And I have two. Okay. All right. So let's say that I have my homework assignment completed. It looks like I'm missing. There we go. So I have all my homework assignments completed. I have my answers where they need to be. So I'm going to go ahead and looks like I have some errors already, so I need to double check. I think everything's good. Okay. So I double checked my code, right? I checked for any errors. Doesn't seem like anything is, rather messy or an issue. So then my next step is to comment out the file.choose function. And then what I can do is I can then knit this completed file. So I'm going to go ahead and go up here. You see a little knit button. If you click the arrow next to the knit button, you're going to select knit to PDF. So this is going to compile your completed document into a PDF. And so it's going to show you, your code, your questions, and all of your answers. And that's going to be a lot easier for us to sort of see your work and grade your work. Now you might get a notification that you need to install the packages. So you're going to click yes, and you're going to wait for those packages to install. And then shortly after that, it will go ahead and knit the file for you. You might need to enable pop-ups because it will sort of pop up the PDF. So if for some reason you're not seeing the pop-up, you might need to enable pop-ups. So now you can see that my PDF is going to pop up as another RStudio screen. And here we see the all the code, all of the answers, and all of the work, right? All the questions. So that's the file that you're going to want to submit. So what we want to then do is we want to save this file so that it's we can submit it into Canvas. So you're going to click the download button that you see on the top right hand corner here, and that's going to download it as a PDF. Because this right here is not quite a PDF. It's still within the R application. And then you're going to click the downloaded PDF. And once you open up that PDF, you can then just save that as if it were a normal file. So here I would probably do File, Save As, and then I put it in my associated folder and save it as Assignment 1 or Lab Assignment 1 or something like that. So that's sort of what you're going to do. And then once you save that file, you're going to go into Canvas, go to your Dropbox, and you're going to submit the PDF into your Dropbox. So this will take a couple of tries, I think, a couple weeks to get used to, but once you get the hang of it, it'll become easier, just like using R will be. So feel free to reach out to your instructor if you have any questions about knitting or if you run into any issues. And there's always alternatives if for some reason we can't get your file to knit. We can always figure out an alternative. All right. Okay, so another thing I wanted to show you is if for some reason the whole pop-up thing and saving the file doesn't work, once you knit the file, it should show up as a PDF file in your bottom folder here. So another way to export that file is just to click the file or select the file. You can click More and then Export. And then it'll prompt you to download it as a PDF. So if I download it, it'll download as a PDF, and then I can do the same process where I can open it up and then save it as a file and then submit that file. So those are two options for exporting the PDF. One thing I wanted to mention for knitting files is this might be a little bit difficult to understand at the moment, but sometimes you'll notice that when you upload the assignment, or not the assignments, the activities that you did, you'll notice that you might create similar names for certain things in both the activity and the assignment. And because it's all in the same cloud, even though you didn't necessarily create it in the file itself, like this file, if I'm going to create, for example, this mail, I'm going to filter out this mail. So like that's something we did in lab, but I'm going to do it again for my homework assignment. And sometimes if you're working in RStudio Cloud, it'll already recognize across files that you did that. So it might be misleading in that you might think, oh, I don't need to filter it again. It's already there. But you actually do need to filter it again because when it knits the file, it sort of ignores all other files and everything else you've ever created. So you need to make sure that you have all the original coding in here. And otherwise it will run into issues of like it can't find this data set called mail because maybe you never actually created it in the first place, at least within that file. So those are things to sort of watch out for. And let's see, I think that's everything I wanted to go over in terms of your steps for submitting a homework assignment. What I then wanted to do is run through like what it's going to look like for you to log back into RStudio Cloud. So say you complete your homework assignment and you downloaded the PDF, you submitted the PDF. You're going to log out of RStudio Cloud. Let's say that you come back next week to do homework assignment number 2. So let's assume that let's say we log into RStudio Cloud, right? We're ready to do homework assignment number 2. Now, what you'll see is you'll see this Bio 260 project. This is what you're going to want to click on. So that whole first step where we did new project and created the new project, you will never have to do that again. All you have to do every time you come back into RStudio Cloud is click on the Bio 260 project. So you're going to click on Bio 260 again. It's going to load everything you ever had in your Bio 260, and you're just going to work within there. We also want to make sure that we are still working within the folder with our name on it. So if for some reason it brings you to the project and you don't see your files here, just make sure you click on the folder with your name on it. And you should see all the files there. Some people want to get more organized and they want to create folders within here, and you're totally welcome to do that. I would recommend that. So you can do like a new folder and do intro to R. And then I can move everything that is associated with the intro to R into that folder. So I can move to intro to R, and then it'll have to assess everything. But now I have another intro to R folder. So that's another folder within your pathway. And you could create another folder. For example, next we'll do probability. So you create a probability folder and keep everything in your probability folder. So that's something I would recommend you do. And again, if you run into uploading the files and issues uploading the files, just move back a folder, upload it there, and then move it into the associated file. That works. Okay, I think that should be everything. So hopefully this helps you with creating your homework assignments, or at least compiling your homework assignments. And you're welcome to reach out to your instructor if you have issues. You can also reach out to myself, Chloe Van Grootest. I can help you as well. And best of luck. Just make sure you be patient with learning R. It is a little bit of a tough learning curve, but it will get better. All right, see you guys later.